music group for that performance. We have had many living room dance parties to that song. Thanks to my advisory group for the awesome introduction. I'd like to appreciate Mr. Smith and Ms. Hardy for giving me the opportunity to give this chapel talk. Thanks to my family for giving endless support, and thanks to all of you for being here to listen to my story. In the 7 years that I've worked at Millbrook, I've been intrigued by the idea of chapel talks. I've been inspired by the courage of each and every person that has stepped in front of this community to share their story. I would often leave the chapel or theater thinking about how I would like to give a talk one day. But I never felt like I had a story worth telling. Sure, I've gotten married, I've had children, I've done some things right and done some things wrong, but those are deeply personal stories. There have been a few incredible things that have happened to me over the past few years, and I finally feel like I have a story that this community can benefit from hearing. This is a story about unexpected opportunities, how they can change your life's path, and how dreams you didn't even know you had can become a reality. Along the way, I'm going to share a secret with you that only a handful of other people on this campus know. This is little Mr. Pearson. I was a child of the 80s that grew up watching Ninja Turtles, building tree forts, playing in any water I could find, and trying to do things just like my big brother. God bless my parents, they let me try anything that I was remotely interested in. I joined the 4-H club, built rockets, tried things like the flute, the drums, gymnastics, wrestling, track, modeling, skateboarding, and baseball. By the time I reached middle school and high school, I had tried a handful of things that I was mediocre at. The few things that stuck with me and really defined my high school years were playing the violin, which I wanted to do because I knew my grandmother had played, competitive swimming, and snowboarding. I can remember vividly how snowboarding came into my life. We had always been a family that skied. At a young age, I would take trips with my parents or my aunt, where I would bomb the hill without turning, like an 8-year-old human missile without a helmet. Then came a day when my brother Zach and I were spending the afternoon with our grandfather. While flipping through the channels on TV, he found some winter sports programming that was doing a feature on snowboards, a sport still in its infancy at the time. My grandfather turned to my brother and me and said, "That looks pretty cool. If you guys want to try that, I will buy you one." That was the birth of my passion for snowboarding. We got our snowboards and couldn't wait to hit the mountain. We spent those early years learning how to navigate the trails on a single plank, getting better and better with each day on the slopes. Every summer, we would drool over our stacks of magazines debating the coolest snowboard designs and saving every penny possible so we could head into the winter season with some fresh new pieces of gear. Once we got a little older and Zach could drive, we spent every free weekend trying to find some fresh powder. We would load up in his beat-up gray Dodge minivan, blast some of our favorite punk rock music, and head out on an adventure. Day and weekend trips to the mountains in the Northeast, not far from our home in upstate New York. Night trips to local mountains, it didn't matter. We were in the car before dawn, blown out speakers rocking hard, trying to be the first and last one on the chairlift that day. These are the things that bond people on any great snowboarding escapade. Good music, good friends, good laughs, good riding. Even though Zach graduated 2 years before me, I continued to snowboard as often as I could with my friends. I was a part of the snowboarding club, made silly videos of arguably the worst freestyling tricks ever recorded, and generally made the most of being a high school kid whose only obligation to himself was to have fun in his free time. Life starts to move fast after high school. College for me was a blur. Arguably, the best thing that happened during the 4 years that I was in school was meeting that blonde bombshell, Mrs. Pearson. While I certainly enjoyed my time at school, I was ready for whatever came next. For me, that meant chasing my dream of working on feature films. I hoped to be an editor, working on major movies with big budgets, and ultimately getting awards. Well, guess what? I did. Well, not the awards, but I got to work on 2 feature films right out of college. Name in the credits and everything. My dreams were coming true, except they weren't. I started to realize that I didn't want that dream to become a reality. It was hard work, but that wasn't the issue. I was willing to do it. Long hours, paying dues, grinding away. The issue was that the work was unfulfilling to me. I was a small cog in a large wheel. I felt that as creative as I might be, I was always ultimately working towards someone else's vision, working to please someone else, instead of making myself happy. That pattern continued for the next 10 years. I worked long hours doing uncreative things in a creative industry. I worked on Food Network shows, TV commercials. At the time, I could say, isn't this awesome? I got to help create 75% of the commercials for the Super Bowl this year. Wow, neat. But was it really worth it? That was debatable. I was stuck in a rut I felt like I was never going to get out of. I eventually landed a job at a local production company in Hudson Valley. This became the right time for Mrs. Pfister and me to start a family. And we brought 2 new heartbeats into the world, Nick and Sam. Home life was amazing. However, my work life became so monotonous and depressing. I was spending so much time and energy doing work that was improving my boss's bottom line at the expense of my mental well-being. This is when an unexpected opportunity number 1 happened. If you told me 10 years ago that I'd be living at a boarding school, working with and alongside people that inspire, entertain, and motivate me every day, I would have told you were crazy. But here I am. On my first day of work at Millbrook in 2015, I went home to my wife and told her that this was the place that I was going to retire from. I could feel it on day 1. I understand the magic that many of you feel when you step into this community for the first time, because I felt it myself. As my family has grown, my priorities have shifted. I have realized the importance of pursuing valuable, meaningful, and fulfilling work. I want to spend as much time as possible with the people that I care about, that inspire me, that push me, and make me think. Life is so much richer when you have an energetic exchange with so many different people. That is what I feel working at Millbrook and interacting with all of you. There is unmistakable value in deep connections. I can see it in the way you all treat your friends, in the way my passionate coworkers selflessly give their time to this community, and I have felt it with every relationship I have built over the past 7 years. Every gator that's come through Harris Dorm, anyone I have helped pursue their creative passions, my community service groups, advisees and pseudo-advisees that have cried in my office or played Uno with my kids, and each of you that I have bonded over formal dinner with. On the days that are long or hard, that inevitably come when you work with 300 plus adolescents, my wife and I often comment to each other that we moved here for a reason, and that we want to do our best to make a difference. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, wow, Daddy P is awesome. What an inspiration. He loves what he does, which is why he's the best advisor and runs the best dorm on campus. That's really cool. This is probably where the story ends, right? Wrong. Time for unexpected opportunity number 2. My friend Andrew was one of those people that shared the same interests as me in high school. We worked together at the local ice cream stand, and we would find opportunities on our time off to head to the local lake for some cliff jumping, or spend a night shooting pool at the local pool hall. I can remember fondly going on a ski and snowboard trip to Vermont, where Andrew and I spent the entire bus ride getting everybody hyped up, listening to our favorite rap songs by Biggie and DMX. When we went away to college, there was a period of time that we didn't speak very much. Connecting wasn't as easy as it is now. Cell phones were just starting to be a thing, but there was no texting or social media. All we had was AOL Instant Messenger. After college, we shared a trip or 2 to the Jersey Shore with mutual friends, and he did come to my wedding. But there was a good period of time when I was busy enjoying married life, and he was living out west. So our paths didn't cross very often. However, Andrew has always been the type of friend that no matter how long it's been since you've last seen him, you can pick back up with conversations like you never missed a beat. Shortly after Mrs. Daddy P and I moved to campus in 2017, Andrew reached out to connect. After updating him on relocating and chatting about family life, he started to ask questions about some of the creative things that I was doing. Then came this text. Do you also do graphic work? Now, I had been given advice early on in my career by a now successful film director. He told me that when you're asked if there's something you can do that is remotely in the direction you want to take your career, say yes. Lie if you have to about your abilities, then fake it well enough until you teach yourself the skills you need to be successful. In the years since I had spoken with him, Andrew had moved to Pennsylvania and started working for a snowboard company called Gilson Ski and Snowboards as their chief revenue officer. So, when he asked me if I did any Photoshop work, my response was an emphatic, "Oh yeah, man, I'm really proficient." I do everything for the school that I work at. In reality, I can navigate Photoshop slowly to create some simple graphics for Millbrook's emails. Boy, am I glad I lied. I fibbed a little. In that conversation, he asked me if I could create a ski design for one of their sponsored riders. Over the next 7 days, I fumbled my way through a design for a pair of skis. Any minute that I wasn't working or with my family, I was at my computer making this design absolutely perfect. Looking back on it, it is not my best work. And it is something that should have taken 1 hour, not 1 week. But it did the trick. I didn't know at the time, but this design was really an audition. Andrew and the company wanted to make sure I was capable of coming up with a suitable design and delivering it properly so they could produce it. I was in. Over the course of that winter, I was tasked with creating a handful of designs for customers. It was a neat opportunity for me to fill some free time on weekends, be a little creative, and build my design skills. In the coming years, as the company started to grow, so did the number of designs I was being asked to do. I would do some graphics for individual customers, but the company was also starting to create partnerships with some well-known national and regional brands. The side work was starting to get pretty cool. The collaborations got kicked up a notch, leading into the 2020 winter season. The company established licensing agreements with both the National Hockey League and Major League Baseball. Over the course of 8 months, I created ski and snowboard designs for every professional hockey and baseball team. If a team won the Stanley Cup, we had a design ready to hit the market. Your team won the World Series, we've got the perfect snowboard for you to hit the mountain with or to hang on your wall. I have worked with Super Bowl winning linemen and UFC fighters. Just last week, I got to work on a design with a professional pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies, who wanted to create a board for his teammate Bryce Harper to commemorate his 10 years in the league. I think often how fortunate I am to have gotten that text from Andrew. I'm humbled that he thought of me in that moment, and that he and the company had the confidence in me to keep allowing me to design. This is the creativity I was dreaming of as a naive 21-year-old college graduate. It took me 12 years to find it, and it came when I wasn't even looking for it. The longer I've worked at Millbrook, the more I'm convinced that working with adolescents at a boarding school is the job that I was meant to do. The design work is just the icing on the cake. It keeps me motivated to create. After I've finished work for the day, I read Harry Potter to my boys and tuck them in. I throw on a movie, pull out my laptop, and whip up some super fresh designs. No pressure, no deadlines, just creating. Now, you're definitely saying, man, this guy is even cooler than I thought he was 10 minutes ago. How is that even possible? But wait, I'm about to tie it all together with unexpected opportunity number 3. Heading into last summer, I was chatting with Andrew, which we do quite often now. And he asked me, if you could design a snowboard for anyone, who would it be? My thoughts went immediately to those trips in that gray minivan with my brother, taking every corner way faster than he should have. Listening to our favorite bands, boards in the back, headed to the mountain. So I said, I can't think of anyone better or more appropriate than Less Than Jake. They were my absolute favorite band as a teenager. Picture yourself getting to work with Taylor Swift or Chance the Rapper. Done, Andrew said. Within a week, I was on a Zoom meeting with the band and their managers. We hashed out a plan to come up with a design to celebrate their 30th anniversary, which would be ready just in time for the 2021 winter season. There I was, on a Zoom call, watching members of one of my all-time favorite bands walk around their tour bus as we discussed the design I was about to create for them. Before the end of the call, the saxophonist said, Why don't you take my number? It'll be easiest to talk through text. Guess who just became best friends? I ended up creating 2 designs for them. One that went in a direction they had talked about, which didn't really go well, and one that truly resonated with me as a fan. It contains artwork from most of the band's iconic albums throughout the years. I loved it. They ended up loving it. Their fans also loved it. They blasted the board on social media, and the sales went as well as could be expected. The completion of the design coincided with the end of their North American tour this past October. Having gotten friendly with members of the band, I asked if a guest and I could meet them at their concert to hand off the prototype they would be using on social media. It was a go. You know who was sitting shotgun, right? My big brother Zach. This time, I was driving, blasting punk rock music, headed to a concert for one of our favorite bands with a custom snowboard that I designed in the backseat. Maybe dreams do come true, even if they are the daydreams of an optimistic teenager. If only I could go back in time and tell myself, hey, 16-year-old Mr. Pearson, you'll never believe what you end up doing later in life. I thought this story was appropriate to share, especially at this point in the year, with some of you headed off on a new adventure soon. It is a good reminder that sometimes the path that we set out for our future selves doesn't turn out to be all that we anticipated. Sometimes dreams come true in ways that you don't expect. Relationships that you form now might open exciting and unexpected doors for you in the future. So nurture them, even if it feels like they have grown distant. Though it may not be unexpected for some of you to be here, Millbrook is an endless sea of opportunities. So lean into life and the people here. Say yes, explore yourself and your relationships, and stay curious. I can't wait to hear where life leads you and the stories of those future experiences you would be excited to share with your 16-year-old self. Thank you.